I agree with what was said, which is we don't know the context of this stop. But what I can say is this: racial profiling is illegal. And in fact, picking on people based on the color of their skin in the state of California is illegal. I have a program for ICE that involves prosecuting them for racial profiling, prosecuting them for violence against Californians and the supervisors, studying, investigating their detention centers, having legal defense funds for people who've been kidnapped and put in those detention centers, and a Know Your Rights PR campaign. Listen, what we're talking about here is whether police officers and the criminal justice system treats people fairly based on the color of their skin. I will say this: Donald Trump posted against me last week because I said ICE has to obey the law in California. The head of ICE posted against me, but I'm not going to step back, because the truth is, racial profiling is illegal, violence is illegal, and the governor of California needs to stand up for Californian citizens every time.
Mr. Steyer, thank you. Ms. Porter, same question. Do you believe that English proficiency, language proficiency should be strictly enforced for truck drivers? You have 60 seconds.
I would absolutely fight the Trump administration, because the job of the California governor is to protect Californians. And right now, that includes protecting them from Donald Trump. Protecting Californians also includes enforcing traffic laws. And we've seen sometimes a need for oversight in California. For example, we have seen that the Department of Motor Vehicles was not enforcing rules around DUIs and drivers who had convictions for that. I am stunned that Mr. Bianco would say to Black and brown Californians and immigrants who are being terrorized and racially profiled that you have to get over racism. It's not something that you get over, it's something that you fight. And if he doesn't understand the importance of that, he has no business representing a state with the diversity of California.
Ms. Porter, thank you very much. Mr. Bianco, I'll give you 15 seconds to respond.
Yeah, again, that's not even close to what I said. What I said is we're Californians, and I'm speaking for them, especially from law enforcement, when I deal with persons of color every single day, Californians are absolutely sick and tired of our politicians making race the basis of everything. It is not. And this racial divide that they are pushing between law enforcement and the public, or Democrat and Republican, absolutely has to stop. And I'm telling you, we are sick of it.
Mr. Bianco, thank you. Mr. Mahan, as a mayor of a city in which 42% of the residents are foreign-born, do you believe that English proficiency tests for truckers are necessary? You have 60 seconds.
No, Frank, the right answer here is clearly to hold the DMV accountable for ensuring that every driver on our roadway meets the qualifications for the license that they have. That's the appropriate entity to do this. And as the mayor of not only one of the most diverse big cities in the country, but the safest big city in the country, let me tell you what creates real public safety. It's rooted in trust. When people trust the law enforcement officers who serve the community, it means that residents are more likely to report crime, to serve as witnesses, to provide evidence. We made San Jose the safest big city in the country by building that trust between law enforcement and the community that they serve. That will be my priority as governor, but we should never lower the standard that agencies like the DMV enforce. As governor, I will also ensure that every state agency lives up to its responsibility.
Clarification, English proficiency, 15 seconds. Exams?
The DMV has exams, and it's not about whether or not you speak English. I represent one of the most diverse cities and the safest city. What the DMV is responsible for doing is not testing how good your English is, it's whether or not you're a safe driver who understands the rules.
All right, Mr. Mahan, thank you. Nikki?
This is another round where you will all be getting the same question. We're asking for a yes or no answer here. If you do not finish in the top two on June 2nd, will you endorse your party's nominee? Mr. Steyer, we will start with you. Yes or no?
Yes. Do you want me to go to elaborate, or is it just yes?
Yes or no? Yes.
Yeah, I said yes.
Thank you, Mr. Steyer. Ms. Porter?
Absolutely yes.
I guess we are going to let you elaborate, so I'll go back to you, Mr. Steyer. I'll give you 15 seconds.
Let me put it to you this way. If there's a Republican in the race, that Republican will be supported by and also supporting Donald Trump. Donald Trump is raising our gas prices. Donald Trump is kicking 1 to 3 million people off Medi-Cal. Donald Trump is trying to punish California every way he can, and the people who are supporting him are also supporting ICE. that is a legal organization that is terrorizing
Steyer,
and
thank you.
victimizing
Mr.
Californians.
Steyer,
How
thank
can I
you.
support that? Every
Mr. Steyer,
Democrat
thank
is
you.
better.
Ms. Porter, I know that you said yes. Your response.
Yes, absolutely. And I have a track record of supporting other Democrats. Mr. Steyer likes to talk about his giving pledge, but what he's done with his own money is more give me an opportunity to be the governor. I think it's really important that we support other Democrats. I've campaigned for other people in purple seats. I've raised money for other people. I was a successful fundraiser and a successful campaigner, and I've used that to beat Donald Trump everywhere we can, and I would do the same thing in this race.
Ms. Porter, thank you. Mr. Mahan, we'll come to you. If you don't finish in the top 2 on June 2nd, will you endorse your party's nominee? You have 15 seconds.
Well, we don't have party primaries, but assuming there's a Democrat and a Republican, I'll endorse the Democrat, but I will make very clear to them and everyone else that the best resistance to Donald Trump is delivering results in people's lives, just as I've done as the mayor of the 3rd largest city in the state, where we're building thousands of homes, we've
Mahan,
reduced
thank you.
crime and reduced homelessness.
Mr. Mahan, thank you. Mr. Becerra, same question to you.
What we need is the best person who can fight those who are attacking California, like Donald Trump. Someone who's actually taken on Donald Trump, not just fought, but won. Not someone who just wants to fight to do more for housing, but has and can improve the lives of so many people, has fought for better health care. I will support that Democrat in the runoff.
Mr. Becerra,
I'm hoping
thank you.
I'm the one that's there.
Mr. Becerra, thank you. Frank.
I'll ask the Republicans now. We've heard from the Democrats. Mr. Bianco, if you do not finish in the top 2 on June 2nd, will you endorse your party's nominee? 15 seconds.
The only people who are hurting California are Democrats. It is not Donald Trump. They keep saying Donald Trump because Democrat policies are a dismal failure in California. They have nothing to point to. If I'm not going to support my opponent because it's going to be he and I going to November.
Okay. Thank you very much. Mr. Hilton, if you do not finish in the top 2 on June 2nd, will you endorse your party's nominee? 15 seconds.
Yes, I will, because we've had 16 years of one-party rule by these Democrats. It's given us the highest poverty rate, the highest unemployment rate, the highest cost of living in America. It is obviously desperately time for change in California. It's time for some balance in our system. We have to elect a Republican as governor this year.
Thank you very much. Nikki.
Now we are going to go to our closing statements, but that does not mean the debate is over. We will continue to be live on our last half hour of our digital channels and on YouTube. To get there quickly, just scan the QR code on your left side of your screen. Mr. Mahan, we will begin with you. Closing statements, you have 30 seconds.
Thanks, Nikki. I'm running for governor because Californians deserve better. We deserve a government that is accountable for delivering results in people's lives. As mayor of the 3rd largest city in the state, I've delivered the biggest decreases in crime and homelessness. We have thousands of homes under construction. I know what it looks like to take on the establishment within my own party to make government deliver results for working people. We don't need MAGA, but we also don't need more of the same. That's why I'm offering something different.
Mr. Mahan, thank you. Ms. Porter, you have 30 seconds.
California, this election is about who you can trust to fight for you. One candidate is a billionaire who got rich off polluters and ICE prisons and is now using that money to fund his election. Another candidate for nearly 40 years cashed corporate checks and then lacked the courage to take them on. I'm not like them. I have never taken corporate money. That's why I have always stood firm against Donald Trump and special interests. I'm like you, a mom fighting for a better future for California.
Ms. Porter, thank you. Mr. Becerra, you have 30 seconds.
California is going through a crisis, and we need someone who knows how to govern in crisis, not someone who's going to need training wheels the moment they walk into the governor's office. This is a time to have someone who's actually fought those crises, whether it's the man-made crisis coming from Washington, D.C., or whether it's the cost of living crisis that we face here at home. We need someone who's actually fought and won, beat back Donald Trump to save the Affordable Care Act all the way to the Supreme Court, beat back Donald Trump in preserving the DACA program for Dreamers, been able to do that and win for the people.
Mr. Becerra, thank you. Mr. Bianco, you have 30 seconds.
Yeah, we have all heard their platform now. It's more taxes and a complete lack of responsibility. I have 33 years of dealing with the consequences of their poor decisions and of their poor policies in the Democrat agenda for the last 33 years. I am running for Californians because California Californians do deserve better. They deserve someone with honesty, transparency, integrity, and most importantly, proven leadership. If you want the status quo, keep the status quo. If you want a better California, I'm asking for your vote.
Mr. Bianco, thank you. Mr. Steyer, you have 30 seconds.
The people raising the cost for California don't want me to be governor. I'm the change agent here, and they don't want change. And in politics, it's pretty easy to figure out who you are by seeing who opposes you and who supports you. Let me tell you who opposes me. The oil companies, PG&E, the realtors, the drug companies, Donald Trump, and the head of ICE. Let me tell you who supports me. Progressives, environmentalists, organized labor, including teachers and nurses. None of these people are fighting anybody else no one else on this stage is having these corporate special interests oppose them. They want to stop me
Mr.
because
Steyer,
I'm
thank
going
you.
to change
Mr.
California.
Steyer, thank you. Mr. Hilton, closing statements, you have 30 seconds.
We obviously need change in California. The system is not working. I'm the only one here who has never run for office before. I'm not part of this system. These Democrats can't get it done. Matt Mahan talks about his record in San Jose. Actually, homelessness and crime are going up. Javier Becerra talks about his time in government. He thought it was a good idea to put masks on 2-year-olds. We need real change in California. We need to think different. We need to vote different. My plan to make our state Cal-affordable is real and serious, and we can get it done if we just vote differently this year.
Mr. Hilton, thank you.
All right, with that wraps up the first hour of our debate tonight. We want to thank all of the candidates, first of all, for being here. We hope you will join us for another half hour of the debate, including your viewer questions. We're streaming live on your local.
Okay, you're with Michael Crosby here. You'll find me in many places. Billionaire gubernatorial candidate Michael Crosby. Yes, the state of California owes me, it just clicked over $5.9 billion on preliminary assessment. I'm an archiver. I've been an archiver for many decades. I've talked with many people. I have walked all over Los Angeles. I was originally born and raised in Los Angeles. I was called an Angelino for many years. I have a lot of viewpoints. I wrote a lot of stuff people didn't like. I wrote a lot of stuff about how we were going to have to do different things about our environment, or we were going to have a huge fire problem and a water problem. I talked about how we were going to lose our forest in this state, how we needed to stop people from simply going out and picking up wood that had fallen on the ground. People would just naturally take care of things. And guess what? I came up with a system. I analyzed it. I put numbers out on how much our forest would lose. And nobody likes me because I was absolutely accurate over the course of the next 3 decades beyond that. I did this way back before the year 2000. So I've got a lot of time analyzing things, running things, doing scientific research. I've got a 240 IQ. Please keep listening. Don't laugh, okay? I've had to deal with a lot of violence, a lot of people who, by the way, are involved in illegal activity. People who are taking money from foreign instruments. Okay, let's talk about this because I got a few people who've accused me of having, well, numerous degrees. Let's talk about this a little more between the break. We've heard what these people are saying for, 10 minutes or so. So I want to go in and talk about some of the stuff that I can tell you about right now because, frankly, I outnumber most people's material on the web. Well, probably more than 1,000 to 1. So I have numerous YouTube sites. Now, I have a lot of material that is out there in various places. This is just among a few of the sites, and we have a lot of problems. Now, some of the problems that we can deal with are things like this. I've had people trying to shoot me, people trying to kill me on numerous occasions. Okay, this is not a game, people. This is not a game. I filed a whole lot of paperwork. I've caught people red-handed committing treason. Now, one of the ways to deal with this kind of stuff is to basically do something. And what we need to do is deal with these horrible attacks on our phones, people manipulating stock, all kinds of stuff. But what a lot of people don't understand that they need to understand is I do have a comprehensive policy to be able to get at things and do things. And what we're going to do basically is utilize something that a lot of people do not understand at all. And that basically is economic criminology. Because with economic criminology, we can build comprehensive engines, which is something effectively that I'm doing. And a lot of people don't understand it. I had a lot of units, basically. I had a whole bunch of mobile units set up for archives. I lost a fleet of 34 vehicles because every business, every subcategory of business, every piece of gig work that I was involved in came under attack by Gavin Newsom. Now, a lot of people think Gavin's a crackhead. Don't want to talk about that right now. Now, the thing is that whatever you believe, you need to understand that with super AI tooling, I'm the guy that was going to have 12 RVs hit LA. Would you notice 12 RVs hitting LA on the free? Of course you would. Exposure on that calculates out to about 1 million people a day. But nobody knows who I am because why? Well, they started blacklisting me, going to all of these different companies to blacklist me. And the thing is that this is one of those things that these people can't quite get around because, frankly, one of the things that happens to be reality deals with something that's quite interesting, and that is the sheer fact that basically, as I start up the emergency panel site, the very first video that I put up here, the very first video just happens to be a documentary of just a few moments.
Okay, we have a situation here now.
I'm going to show you proof.
Yeah,
This
we
is
have a
proof. This is
situation.
evidence,
so what
people.
we're going to do is we've been going through these other items, showing what's wrong, respective to the sinner situation involving what's going on here because we have a problem. And the problem deals with the most seriously simple type of item. When you basically have an identity and your identity will not show up,
Blacklisting.
respective to
Blacklisting
a given
people.
situation,
I busted them red-handed.
you have something.
Biden administration, state of California, Elon Musk's office is not going to lie. Elon Musk's office is not going to lie. They start sending me notices.
People start
Biden
scrolling
administration.
in late. You're in this line.
Biden
you're coming up to the
administration
front, and
wants
all of a
to
sudden you're all the
blacklist
way
me.
at the front.
Interference in federal election,
You're
people.
basically in line.
Interference
you're
in
the front, and
federal
all of a sudden
elections. That's the
security
state of
keeps stopping
California.
you
Okay, state
and
of
allowing all
California,
these
same
people
thing.
on the side
Elon
to come
Musk's
forward
office is not
and
going to
cut in
lie.
line
When
in
I
front
get
of you.
notices
So you
on
get to
my
the
X
point where you're
account,
looking at this, look,
and they
there's nothing
explain to me
associated
that they
with-
have been
with the
ordered
classification in this instance
to
of
spy
what's
on
been
me,
typed.
turn information over to the
And as
government,
we look at this
and
this
alter my algorithmic
continuous,
understanding.
situation here, we have a very, very long list of continuously mass discrimination involving the truth. You see, the web is supposed
When you go to
to
type
pass
things
the
in,
free and unimpeded
things don't
information
come up.
of what
I've
you
been
want.
running for
So if
office
you run around shaking people's hands and
for
say, "Hey,
more
I'm running for governor,"
than
"Hey, I've declared to
basically
run for
20
governor,"
years,
go,
people.
"Oh, but they
Right
haven't
around
handed out the
25 years.
paperwork yet."
Now,
And you go,
the
"Yeah, I
problem
can't
is
even fill any of
I
the
keep
paperwork
catching
out.
these people
We're in between
having
elections, but I'm
secret
running.
divisions to
I'm running for
blacklist
office
people.
here."
That's your
So
businesses.
what you end
That's
up
your
with
life.
is this
If you don't understand why
situation
your business is
where you
failing,
have
I'm going to
basically
explain
typed
it to you.
something
And
in,
it's actionable.
and
It's
here you are,
actionable.
gubernatorial candidate
What these people
channel,
did.
for instance, and here we are. We've got this massive
See the list, gubernatorial candidate at the top here.
items, and you're not on it.
Yeah,
You're
see,
not on
no
it.
logic,
You're
no
not on it at
logic
all.
to what's supposed
You're
to
not
be
on it,
there.
You know, so you're looking at this
Gubernatorial
and
candidate
it's
channel
just,
YouTube.
It's just not there.
Not
It's
there.
just not there. There's
Not there.
nothing to
Not
show
listed.
anywhere on this list.
This particular
accuracy.
site
There
that
is
I'm
absolutely
looking
no
at right here
accuracy
was
whatsoever.
basically activated, I believe, in January.
So, you could sit
January.
there and go more videos.
And I have a
yet
lot
all
of
you
other
have
different
is no
sites. This
accuracy.
particular site right
No
here
accuracy.
just happens
No
to be
accuracy. No accuracy.
emergency
so,
panel.
You're typing all this material in. You're going through it again and again and again.
Because I'm
And what you
activating
end
an
up with
emergency
finally
panel because
is
why? That's what the
there is
Constitution of
another
the
way.
United States actually
is
says
another way.
you're
And the
supposed
other
to
way
do
turns out to
if
be
you
this.
understand how it's a compressed document and the
And
articles
basically
talk
what
about how
happens is,
parties are disqualified.
sudden, here
They are
is
disqualified by the
YouTube
articles of the
gubernatorial candidate.
Constitution for
Because
attacking
why? I
another
typed in
candidate's
something different.
camp.
Billionaire gubernatorial
Now,
candidate.
I'm going to tell you more about what
But
that means
again,
because right away, anybody with them
We've got
is
1, 2,
disqualified.
3, 4
Anybody
other
with them is
parties
disqualified.
in line.
That
5
means
other
that means
parties
that there's at least
before you
two
get to the
California Supreme Court
actual
judges
straightforward two
that
first
were
word
appointed
views,
by
whatever
Gavin
word,
Newsom. They're gone.
Billionaire
They're
gubernatorial.
gone.
Okay.
Okay, I
Billionaire
get to
gubernatorial
fire more than
candidate right here.
140 people.
Michael
I get to
Crosby.
walk
So you
right
press
up to
that, you go
judges
over
and say,
here,
guess what?
and voila,
You're
we
gone.
happen to
You're
have
gone.
something.
You were appointed by
Now we have
Newsom.
something.
Newsom's ticket attacked me, violated the
So all of a
articles.
sudden,
You
here we
people
are.
are gone.
We have
We're
got
going to restore the Constitution of the
channels
United
showing
States.
here, right?
We are
This is
going
the
to
channel.
bring
See
in
right
the
here, we're
right
gonna go
judges,
here, and we're gonna
the right
press
judges to go
on
through material and put everything under review.
gubernatorial candidate.
So as you notice, if you're looking at the
So
screen there,
gubernatorial
here's the
candidate
channel.
official
Here it is.
does not show up in the line. So I've been a candidate, right? I'm a candidate running for office.
I end
and
up
I've been
finding up by
completely
a
erased.
sub video.
Completely erased, completely blacklisted from having.
This is
my
evidence right here.
material
This is enough evidence
show
to go to
up.
court to get major
Now,
bucks,
it's very
okay?
important as
It's
to
a bit
how
more than
come
that.
all
This is enough
stuff
evidence
works.
right here because
And
they're
there's
attacking a
whole lot of
candidate and what
stuff
they're
that
doing.
involves
Okay,
stuff
this
that's
is evidence
really
to
big
arrest
because,
people.
we
Arrest
have
people. I am
violence
going
coming
to
against
arrest
them. We have all
people.
kinds of stuff.
About
So I
147
have
people. I'm
attacking
going to
me,
be
destroying
arresting them.
fleets. I
Okay?
have members of
These
government
people are
involving
involved,
themselves
some of them
blacklisting.
in very
I get
serious
disclosure
matters.
from
It's
Elon
not a game,
Musk's
people.
office
It's not a
on
game.
2 separate occasions.
So as you're looking at this
telling me
information,
that
you're
the
trying to
Biden
understand what's
administration has
going on
ordered
in the
them to
election.
spy on
You
me
need
and
to understand.
put forth algorithms to blacklist me. And then they call. Then I get another notice from them that says, "Yeah, the state of California is basically blacklisting you." So here I am running in elections, and we have a federal election interfered with.
Google also confessed. I've got that in
Federal
writing.
election interfered with by the state of California because it's not the first rodeo here.
Google
the state of
confessed
California
twice.
has been involved in
First
assault
time
and
was when I was running against
rigging
Jerry
elections
Brown.
for a very, very long time. So when we have a lot of stuff, we've got all this other stuff that we can look at and see that there's all these different ways.
So election
when you
after
start
election,
looking at
these
numbers of
people
views
keep doing
that
something.
make no sense.
Look at the numbers. Look at the
that don't
numbers
make
on the
sense at all.
views, and then understand how
And
some of
if you
these
take a video
videos
from other
cannot
areas, such as
possibly
this one,
could not
and
possibly
all of a sudden you
do
post it,
what they do.
you end up with this situation. Very simple. You'll see them all. Look at the right side. You'll see all of the different re-records on this. This is a test sequence. This is a test sequence to test legitimacy, to see whether or not people
Over
are
1,200.
looking at things.
Over
Because
1,200.
We have all these other areas
To
where
tell
I'm
you how these
posting material
algorithms work
and to the channel
in
and nobody's
conjunction
seeing this
with
material. Almost
blacklisting
nobody
order
is looking
into
at this
algorithms
material.
by the state of California
So, there's
and
different
by the
keys
federal
to
government.
understand if you use
Now,
certain words,
currently
they
the
got
Trump
algorithms that
administration
do
is not
certain
completely
things.
aware yet
Except keep in
of
mind, I'm being
things the
blacklisted.
Biden administration put
My
into
main
place.
namestakes keep
And
being
I have
blacklisted.
some communications
And this
out
is
there.
something
I'm
that's
waiting
just,
for materials to catch up.
incredibly horrible.
You know, I tried to
because
communicate
have
with
the
Pam Bondi.
number
She
one
ended up getting
economic
fired.
design. I have the best economic design. I'm running for office. I'm going to do commemorative coins in a massive way. I lay out the entire massive
This is it.
program to
One.
make California $500 billion.
One program, just
$500
one.
billion. And you know what ends up happening? Guess what? That doesn't get implemented.
Didn't happen.
What happens later? Well, silver was basically right about $18 an ounce, and it went up recently to 120. Now, the statistics charting this all along the way, charting this activity, going from the very conception of the plan, utilizing AI, and analyzing all this stuff along the way using computers, reveals that California lost $500 billion. It wouldn't be a dime in debt. It would not be a dime in debt. And people would have made $1.2 trillion in profit. The investors
Very
who would have bought
serious.
the commemorative coins would have made $1.2 trillion in profit. That effectively works out to
California
add the $500 billion onto the
wouldn't be in
1.2.
debt.
That's $1.7 trillion. Now, the other items that I was doing with, we're talking about a loss of more than $3.5 trillion in commerce in California.
Additional.
In California.
Additional.
Why? Well, I didn't make it to the governorship. Why didn't I make it into the governorship?
People
well,
cheated.
To start off with, the state of California
Articles
has rigged the
violation.
elections.
Mandatory
That's
disqualification.
attack on a candidate's cap. That's a major articles violation. That means all these parties are disqualified. That is the Constitution of the United States. That is the law. But we
Something
don't have
wrong with the
people
courts
adhering
here
to
in
the law.
California.
We have all these other people that are appointed. All the people appointed by them are also disqualified. The entire camp is disqualified, connected to those.
All
tickets.
appointees. That means
Those
I get to
particular
throw
tickets.
people
So
out of
here
the
we have
California
massive amounts
Supreme
of
Court.
information
I'm the only
about what's
candidate
going on.
that's running
Very
that
serious
has the
questions.
power
Here we have
to use
an
the court
understanding of
right now
communication
to
letters.
literally arrest
Communication
Gavin
letters right
Newsom.
here
The only
involving
candidate. I have the evidence. I have the evidence. And
materials
I'm the only
that
candidate
deal
running
with
for
keeping
office
on
that has the
shadow of a
power
doubt of
to arrest
communications.
more than 47 judges in
Let's look at those
California
communications.
and remove them. Because I have the evidence, I have the power. So to straighten out this state, there's a lot of stuff that we need to do, basically.
So if
And
we look at these communications more up close, what we have here
Look at the dates,
is
people.
me posting evidence about communications
January
going directly
2021.
to Shirley Weber. Shirley Weber. She does not want to address my complaints involving parties who are involved in RICOs.
I discover all these RICOs,
Mass numbers
all
of
these
RICOs
crimes.
in California.
What do they do?
So what do
They
they
just
do?
reinforce.
They're blacklisting me.
They just reinforce
Again,
the
here's more
blacklist.
information.
Reinforced.
SOS.
We have
that's
people
Shirley
committing
Weber, okay?
treason on databases
from
right
what?
now
You know,
on
I mean,
computers
this
in
is,
California
from
rigging
what? From,
elections.
okay,
That's
to,
treason. That's
to
treason.
declare a
These
state-
people
you know,
are
I
going to
mean,
go to
these
prison for the
people-
rest of their life.
These people are not paying attention to the evidence whatsoever. Then they turn around and they're using a ghost division to blacklist people. This is treason. This is treason. You put this into a set of quantifying formulas and look at it as economic criminology and criminology. It's criminology. These people committed treason. They have violated the Constitution of the United States. I mean, this is something that is
Okay, so, basically as we're looking at these different items here, we need to understand a lot of things. I get a little
It's reportedly an
malfunctions.
object that is not in this country, that is so large it cannot be moved. That they've built an entire building around it, and that's one of the locations that I'm requesting to get to. It's going to be it's going to involve a lot to make that happen, but that may be.
So, people, as we're talking about what a lot of this mean, what does all this criminology stuff mean that I'm talking about? How this stuff is basically coming together, how I'm working, doing the programming to get the most comprehensive criminology stuff going, to show you maps, to show you the demographic maps of what's going on, what these people did, what happened. We got so many items here. It's just incredible. I don't think people understand. There's been a lot of court rulings about cars and car seizures. We had a whole bunch of illegal car seizures and people don't even understand. They lied to people. They said they had a junk car, but they're ascending assets. Over 30 years worth of verification of ascending assets. We're talking people involved in prudent investments as the state blatantly lied, coerced local governments to do things or they'd cut off funding. I defy you. Go out and tell me that local governments are not being pressured right now, to do what California wants, what Gavin Newsom wants, or they're going to pull the funding. It's all over the place, I'm telling you. So let me see if we can get us back to something.
Mr. Steyer, where do you draw the line on this?
Okay, so here's the break that they give. It goes on for several minutes. We'll fast forward it. Here we go again. We'll get back here to see what they're going to say.
Is the most fundamental way to expand economic opportunity and upward mobility in California, and I will get the job done.
Mr. Mahan, thank you. Mr. Becerra, same question to you. What is your plan to lower the cost of housing? You have 60 seconds.
Well, we have to give those who build the homes the incentive to do so. That means streamlining the regulations and the fees that make it impossible to believe that they can make these projects pencil out. Once we do that, we want to build smart. We want to build in the places where it makes sense. Buy transportation so it's easy to get to and from work. Make it so that we don't have commutes that are hour and a half long. We want to make sure that we help those who want to buy a house get in a house. Most Californians who are renting are essentially paying a monthly mortgage, except it's called rent. I would convert them into homeowners by helping them with their down payment. We have down payment assistance programs where we will expand the opportunity for a renter to become a homeowner. And the next thing I will do is, in the first 100 days, I will make sure that we get all those projects that are essentially shovel ready to go. And there are some 40,000 housing units that are shovel ready. They just need a little kick over the finish line. I would make sure we do that, whether it's the small tranche of money they need or getting rid of some of the licensing requirements.
Mr. Becerra, thank you. Mr. Bianco, same question to you. What is your plan to lower the cost of housing? You have 60 seconds.
We're going to all be honest about the problem. The problem is California state government. California state government created this housing problem. It is not that we can't afford a house. It's that builders can't afford to build a house because of the excessive regulations on our building industry, along with every other business and industry in California. On day one, I remove all of those regulations from our building industry that will allow more, as much as a third, sometimes more depending on location, to a third of the price of a home to be removed off of that $900,000 price tag just by getting rid of the government red tape. Instead of 3 to 5 years, it's going to take 3 to 5 months to build a house. We will encourage our builders to build. When we take the restrictions away, builders build homes. We do not have a land problem in California. We have a management problem. We have a government problem that we absolutely must take away. The restrictions, the big ones, all the regulations, but CEQA, Coastal Commission, CARB, all of those on our building and building industry will be removed.
Mr. Bianco, thank you. Mr. Hilton, same question to you. You have 60 seconds.
Well, if San Jose is the template for housing affordability in California, God help us. It was just rated the least affordable city for housing in the world. That is completely the wrong answer. The right answer is my plan, which was the first plan that I put forward in this campaign. Number one, we have to end this outrageous hidden tax on housing. They call it impact fees. It can add up to 20% to the cost of a home. Secondly, we have to reduce.
They just added 325,000
3 or 4 times as expensive
over
to
4
build the
years.
exact same home in California as in neighboring states. Number 3, we have to end the exploitative union lawsuits that are filed to block housing, that extract project labor agreements that make the cost so much higher. And number 4, we have to end the war on single-family homes so that we can build the housing we need for young families. We need more starter homes in California.
Mr. Hilton, thank you. Mr. Mahan, I'll give you 15 seconds to respond. Mr.
Yeah,
Hilton.
thanks. San Jose has been the most expensive city in the country since before I was born because of all the jobs created there. I know that because my parents had to move 50 miles away, even though my mom grew up there, just to afford to buy a home. What I did as mayor, though, was take ownership of the problem, unlike all the talk you're hearing on this stage. We reduced fees, sped up permitting, and now we have thousands of homes under construction.
Mr. Mahan, thank you. Mr. Steyer, same question to you. What is your plan to lower the cost of housing? You have 60 seconds.
Look, the biggest problem in California is that Californians can't afford to live here, and the number one problem there is housing. And I've seen people who have full-time jobs who are still having to live in their car. But if we're going to solve the housing problem, and I've said we'll build 1 million units, it's not a silver bullet the way some of these people are suggesting. It's silver buckshot. Yes, we have to shorten permitting and make it less expensive. We made a first step on it last year, we'll make more. 2, we have to redo zoning so that we build denser and around public transportation. 3, we need to actually drop the cost per square foot of building. There are ways to do it. Industrial construction away from site and then putting it together on the site drops the cost per square foot by 1/3. And lastly, one of the biggest reasons it's hard to build houses here is the cities and counties don't want it because they can't afford to take care of the people who are in the houses. I've said on day one, I'll call for a special election to close a corporate tax loophole. That will fund it. That will get the cities and counties on our side. The realtors are mad at me. They're fighting me. But that's the only way we drive down housing costs for the people of California.
Mr. Steyer, thank you. Ms. Porter, same question to you. What is your plan to lower the cost of housing? You have 60 seconds.
Housing is personal to me. I've sat across from thousands of Californians who are facing eviction or foreclosure. When I served the state of California for 3 years under then Attorney General, now former Vice President Kamala Harris, and I held the big banks' feet to the fire for predatory lending. I've also questioned CEOs of big banks about how the huge slice that housing takes out of their paycheck. Housing has been my #1 issue since I launched this race, and I have the deepest background in housing policy of any candidate on this stage. The key is to build faster. If we built at the same speed in California as states like Colorado, we could take 10 or 20% off the cost of housing. That's real money back in families' pockets. It's not a couple bucks, it's hundreds of dollars. I just want to comment, Mr. Becerra, you have all these lovely plans, but there are never any numbers, any revenue plan, any details, anything that pushes on the status quo. It's just all due, but the how, the why, the how much, it's all missing.
Ms. Porter, thank you. Mr. Becerra, I'll give you 15 seconds to respond to Ms. Porter's comments.
It's very rich to hear from someone who's never had to actually run a government. I have had to balance 4 budgets over the course of my time as Secretary of Health and Human Services. A budget, by the way, that was larger than the budget of the state of California. When I was Attorney General of the state of California, I had a fight, whether it was a corporate attempt to try to take advantage of Californians or whether it was the Trump administration. I got in and I filed lawsuits. They weren't frivolous lawsuits. I won most of my cases because I knew how to put down the details and the facts. So it's easy to say you haven't done this. It's easier to prove that you actually have.
May I respond?
Mr. Becerra, Ms. Porter, we have to move on. We have a lot of questions that our viewers have for us next, and Frank is going to move on to those because we have a lot to cover in little time.
Okay, now, half these candidates don't really have much in the way of substance here. And, you know, granted, there's not necessarily a whole lot of time to cover these various items in a single debate, but we have a lot more stuff here to basically deal with that's important, where we can cover stuff, explain stuff as to its actual content value, as to the things about stuff. So the importance here dealing with a lot of stuff, you know, I've mentioned some of these different things. I've talked about the economic criminology. I'm still in favor from my earlier campaigns, 2012 gubernatorial. I want, pet fund. You can use your Social Security to guarantee emergency loans to take care of your buddy. I'm still on for that. For some of you people in the AARP, a few people might remember me. Now, the thing is when we're dealing with economic security, when we plug in the designs of the stuff that I've done and been doing for more than 25 years, okay, so, this is part of the reason my archives come under violent attack and people shoot at me. I have a lot of evidence. That's going to put people in prison for a very long time. And I don't know any other way to tell you this. 99% of the people that I have evidence on have served office. We're talking about regime members that have done things very illegal, okay? Very illegal. Some of them definitely treason. So when we're working with mass economic modeling here, it's just like working with a giant game engine. The way code works, it's all math, quantification. It's all quantification. So we get to see how demographics happen. So these taxes, we get to see when overlapping taxes are literally committing genocide on people, taxing people literally to death. I'm not kidding about that. We don't have these people addressing overlapping taxes and when they come in coordinated effect. Now, I'm going to put software into place. Nobody's going to beat me. I have designed the best economic models in the history of the world for the past 25 years. And all I've got out of it is a bunch of insults from people at universities telling me that they didn't like the way my sheepskins looked. Now, it's kind of funny because my statistics turn out to be all the way right. You know, I'm a guy that started out having about a 82 to 87% accuracy rate, jump up to 92 to 99%. So they're not going to stop me. I already know which companies, which changes to put into effect, how to bring mass AI into play, how to get it done, how to relieve people, how to compensate people that are victims. I have a huge victim list. People who were victimized by people violating the Constitution of the United States. You know, I mean, what do you do as a consult? We go get some Eskimos, we go get some Greenlanders and say, look, let me show you some material about LA. What do you think? And they look at this and they go, these are crimes against humanity. They're not allowing people to build a roof over their head with their own hands to save their life. This is genocide. You know, how would your local communities deal with it? We would charge them with treason. These people would end up dangling from a rope. These people would be executed for committing crimes against humanity. That's Eskimos and Greenlanders. Okay, so, well, you know, you could say it's discrimination. They have similar genetics, you know, but so we have all of these different factors here involving very interesting statistics. You know, I have some of the most advanced design language models in the history of the world that seem to show the potential to work, but I also work very well with other stuff. So as statistics go, for instance, now the reality is like back in 2003, 4, I did the analytic work on the projection based upon what had happened since the Reagan administration up to the, you know, like late 90s. I came up with a series of analytic formulas. And what I came up with is how many people were going to be displaced from jobs upwards of 10 years ahead of time. Can you imagine that, knowing 10 years ahead of time that your job's going to become obsolete? And I'd say, well, that's like looking at bars of gold. It's opportunity. We can schedule a smooth transition. These other people in government, they're lying about it. They dodge the question until it's already coming up and biting everybody, and you have people losing everything. They've been ignoring the issue for decades. You get Bernie Sanders starts panicking. We're going to have 100 million jobs lost. He submits that last year. I look at the work and I go, this looks like a fragment of what I did as a long-term analyst report back in 2005, which is what I used in the beginning when I began my campaign to say we need to immediately address building mass economic modeling software at a rate of committing at least $4 to $6 billion a year every year. So I'm running for president, stating that. People laughed at me. So here's all these statistics that turn out verbatim to be, boom, accurate, that now other people did the same work, and it looks like it's verbatim. But the thing is no, they did, most all of them, they did independent work. They had a few people ask some of the same exact questions. And what do they come up with? This is the modern statistics, people. You can go on any good AI engine right now, and it's going to tell you. You know, you have people using leaf blowers, okay, doing yard work, trimming trees, different stuff. When you're looking at this primitive stuff here, in 3 to 5 years, 30 to 50% of that labor is going to be gone because they're already building robots. Elon Musk is already building robots. There are at least a dozen companies that are building robots to compete. You know, these are the kind of things that can build you a barbecue when you're at work. If you're at work and you go, oh, the robot needs something to do, well, build me a nice red brick barbecue. It can do that, okay? So if we have the 50% in 3 years actually occur, that means that the 8-year statistic becomes 75%. All this adjusts back, which means, to tell you the truth, see, all these illegal aliens, there is no future for them. I laid out all the math 25 years ago. Have these leaders been telling you the truth all along? No, they're declaring sanctuary cities. They're giving people the impression that they can come here and have a destiny. And that's not the truth. That's blatantly, that's evil. That's lying to these people. That's lying to people. Because this is reality, folks. This is what you're going to see right here. That is reality. Welcome to reality, okay? And that's somebody, that robot's not going to sue you. That robot's going to also have extra cameras and work like a security agent. Okay, these are the facts. These are the facts that these other people keep ignoring for all these years. Now I will say that, that Chad tried to cover this. Now, I got a series of evidence on items. Okay, Russian spies discovered in California, Southern California, in and out, also Riverside area, that's Chad's area. I will admit and say, that they have not given the proper resources to Chad. I'll just mention, I'm not going to lie about that, of what I've seen. Chad's campaign's getting blacklisted a certain percentage. The algorithms aren't right with him. He's getting attacked as well. My campaign, his campaign. So we have the thing here that spy activity was real. I talked to certain people. Okay, you might have heard the spot that there were other victims. Well, the whole thing is there's a whole bunch of different justice departments that lied. They lied. They withheld information to other divisions that passed up and looked at information. So you had people actually working with slim information, with estimates, or just straight out generating false reports. And they leave a lot of stuff out, like with Trump. When I'm doing the investigation, these people are saying things, I'm going to be unbiased. I'm going to be unbiased. And then I run into the truth. Repeatedly, they kept coercing Donald Trump into helping Justice Department capture Russian mobsters and Russian spies. So here he is in a situation, and as near as I can tell, just from fragments that I ran into, he was being cheated. He was being cheated out of his time and life. He was being put in danger. Of course, he's rich. He's got a lot of security. Okay. But they basically walked up and told him, well, we have a deal you can't refuse. You have to do this. You have to help us. They treated him worse than John DeLorean. That's what it looks like from the fragments to me. So, okay, jumping back here. So, you have this other information. You have the Mueller stuff. Mueller is not as dumb as you think, but Mueller did not have certain information passed to him. And he had other information that disappeared. I'm telling you, other information was passed in, turns out not accurate, and people pulled it. Now, Mueller's died now. Mueller's dead, okay? Mueller found other evidence. There was a lot of other stuff that popped up. And he decided to do the shotgun effect. My advice of writing, I have done some advising on independent analysts to the government from time to time. I'll talk about it sometime. My advice was get them all gone. Get all the Russians out of the country. So Mueller basically, I don't know if he got anything on any of the little reports that I wrote. He decided that, from independent analysis, that there was evidence. So he decided to issue like 180 some warrants, I think it was, for interrogation. All of those people left the country. Every one of those Russian spies left the country as fast as they possibly could. You got to remember, you ended up having evidence captured off of jets, hard drives removed from jets. They stopped Russian aircraft. They went on board and they found hard drives, and they're like, this hard drive, the serial number, this thing ain't yours. It came out of one of our machines. Why is it on your aircraft? And they said, oh, well, you can't do this. And they says, well, we're doing this. What are you going to do? You're going to make an incident? You're going to pull a gun out and shoot at us? Because we got guns. We're stopping you. This aircraft ain't leaving, and we're taking this right now. Okay? So this is something that some people don't understand. My archive gets hit too. I'll tell you how the links end up coming around. So what we end up having is Mueller saying there's a whole lot of other people that are victims as well. There are other victims. Okay, so this is what's been happening in the justice system. I'll just tell you. We have people passing incomplete files and adding in false information. In other words, this is good, look at these people, they're bad, but right here, we think they're linked right here and right here over here to these other people. And that's where you get the bad links. What happens? They're involving other people falsely claiming that they're doing something bad and they're not. But that doesn't, but see, the way a lie works is you take good solid information and you mix it around. You take good evidence on other activity, and then you end up having a couple false reports indicating that other people do other things. And you have other people that end up generating all kinds of other stuff. We had a whole bunch of dereliction. State of California repeatedly got notices from the federal government. Mueller gave notices. Says, look, you guys got at least 30 spies, Southern California, Riverside area. Does California do an investigation? Do they give Chad resources? No, they don't give Chad resources. No, they don't do that. They create a bunch of bullshit policies and they prevent officers from doing their job. You know, when I come under attack in different areas, and some of them were in Riverside, okay, I end up with guys saying they're ordering us not to do fingerprints, this and this. I'm just going to tell you, I can't tell you identities right now. I have people turning state's evidence. I have officers of the law. I have sheriffs turning state's evidence to me in my investigation. Okay, straight out. And I have seen some of this material involving policies and orders, literally ordering officers not to do their job. Okay, I'm just going to say that there. Okay, so we got what is stolen. I have stolen electronics, stolen paperwork. Okay, national security related paperwork stolen. Federal campaign interference, multiple accounts. Okay, federal campaign Biden. Okay, we have other stuff too. Stolen U.S. Air Force data. Okay, I'm just going to leave it at that. Okay, stolen national security related information. Okay, my name, my account, I don't want to talk about it more. Stolen. Okay, software, U.S. Air Force software stolen. As the state of California orders sheriffs and officers not to respond. Okay, we're talking lots of stuff. Now, we also have some other items that deal with other stuff, such as synthetic aperture radar device. Okay, I'm just going to leave it at that, okay? Yeah, I have the technology. I know how to do synthetic aperture radar interpretation, okay? Stolen U.S. Air Force communication device, SAR related, okay? My account, my name, these people have no right to take this, okay? This is national security violated. Who's in dereliction of duty? California AG is in dereliction of duty. Okay, process is what? Shirley Weber in dereliction of duty. Okay? Stolen Senate communication device. Let me say that again for you. Stolen Senate communication device. I do official communications with the United States Senate. Okay? That device was stolen. Okay? What happens? People are told don't do their job. People are threatened. Okay? These matters have to be resolved. You do not steal devices that are utilized for official communications with the United States Senate, people. Okay, so people, oh, are you not, wait a minute. No, well, gee, I got a lot of, it depends on which report you read, because if you get the right report, the right report's going to tell you I do have some connections, okay? National security information theft. I did a lot of analytics work, okay? Evidence exonerating Trump. Yeah, stolen. So, again, so I'm telling you, there's a whole lot more of these, all right, of what these people involved themselves in, what happened. It's really, really bad. I have enough evidence to convict more than 147 people in leadership in the regime in California including Governor Newsom. Okay, I got enough evidence to convict Julie Sue, Kamala Harris, Weber, the AG of the state. Okay, I'm not having a good time here, people. When I tell you that people are shooting at me, it's because I have evidence to put these people in prison for the rest of their life. This is a RICO situation at the least. It's not a game. These people are also tied to other players. Now, SAR technology is important to understand. I got a whole fleet of vehicles that keeps coming under attack and getting burglarized and robbed. 8 different physical locations, people. 8 different physical. So you're talking statistically, that's impossible to happen unless there's a coordinated effort for people to do this. Okay? So I told you as an archiver, that's the truth. Okay? I'm into computers like a whole lot. Okay? So, yeah. So this guy right here's got a bunch of phone numbers. You need to research his stuff and these phone numbers. Very important. Very important, because these people are doing things that are ridiculous. You know, $324,000 over 4 years on your home, on your home or on your apartment. You know, you're talking about, see, rents are going to be raised to $1,000 per month. Easy from this. Do we see anybody in the debate talking about this? No, they're not talking about this. So we got a whole lot of lies going on. So with me, I'm the guy that's going to do all the economic stuff. I'm the guy that, I'm studying and writing papers on quantum criminology. Okay, SAR, right? Real sharp. I'm working with quantum scientific figures. Quantum accuracy. That's where you don't lose a hair. Right now we've got basically SAR, synthetic aperture radar. We can technically see a blade of grass. The stuff I'm working with on design, we won't lose a human hair. Okay? So just to give you a scale, just to scale it for you to give you an idea of the size of it. So you have to understand, mobile fleet of vehicles to assist you, to ask the questions, what do you need fixed in your life, to get a comprehensive listing of every possible problem so that you could go away and have an account and be able to list anytime you felt like it, every problem you have in your life, every one. So, there's so much stuff that I was doing with computers and still doing. It's mind-boggling. Our forefathers were tacticians. I'm telling you, that's something about it that you kind of need to understand, and some people don't. We've got a lot of problems, a lot of evidence, and we have a bunch of people threatening. Now, we have a lot of history. I'll tell you about history. History was originally my second major before I changed it. It ended up being my 4th or 6th. But so understanding the history of who actually paid for and built Marxism, communism, socialism, all paid for. They're all on the payroll. They're all on the payroll of the Royal German Empire and the syndicate. There's a lot of different people, a lot of different information that I wanted to go over. But at the moment,
a random draw, Mr. Becerra. We're actually going to begin with
plans, but there are never any numbers, any revenue plan, any details, anything that pushes on the status quo. It's just all due, but the how, the why, the how much, it's all missing.
Ms. Porter, thank you. Mr. Becerra, I'll give you 15 seconds to respond to Ms. Porter's comments.
It's very rich to hear from someone.
Mr. Becerra, we're actually going to begin with you. Ashley from Paris wants to know, what is one...
I launched this race, and I have the deepest background in housing policy of any candidate. Details, anything that pushes on the status quo.
Motion.
You agree with schools not notifying parents if their child identifies as a different...
I've done as mayor of San Jose when the Trump administration threatens California
on automatic license plate readers, flock safety systems, and broad... is one specific cost, gas, groceries, utilities, child
square foot by a third. And lastly, one of the biggest reasons it's hard to build houses here is the cities and counties don't want it because they can't afford to take.
Because I believe it is time that Californians had an understanding of why so many of them are paying so much for both of those charges that they have when they have a home. It is time for us to get behind the curtain and understand why these industries are charging Californians so much, and in some cases dropping Californians from their insurance policy without explanation, charging twice as much. It is time for us to freeze those so Californians benefit.
Mr. Becerra, thank you. Mr. Bianco, you get the next question. This is Greg from Placerville who wants to know, what is your position on automatic license plate readers, flock safety systems, and broader issues of mass surveillance? You have 30 seconds.
So I'm a huge proponent of flock camera systems, and not flock, but the type that the ALPRs for law enforcement. They have been a game changer for law enforcement. It's not about the misconception. I want to ensure him, we don't know you're driving the car from those license plate readers. They read license plates, that's it, and we are able to find criminals who use vehicles for that.
Mr. Bianco, thank you. Mr. Hilton, you get the next question. This is Carlos from Los Angeles who wants to know, what are you going to do for California schools? You have 30 seconds.
It's an absolute scandal that we have just under half of our students can read at grade level. For math, it's 35%. Here's the plan. We're going to learn from what works in other states and around the world. The best way to teach kids.
I have extensive material on what to do on the educational system. Real quick, I'm going to interrupt. It's very simple. Look at Los Angeles, 13 years, that's K through 12. Okay, $480,000 spent. There's a 56% burger flipping placement rate. 56% gets burgers. Now, when you talk about the robotics I talked about earlier, guess what? Okay, that means that we're looking at 30 to 50% of students that would be normally looking at being in the 56% placement rate will not be able to get jobs in 5 years, okay, because of the implementation of robots at automation, robotics, and AI being implemented at various facilities, burger flipping, restaurant, etc. Now, my plan is to restore them to where they would be able to make at least $140,000 to $200,000 a year upon age 18 graduation. To be able to back them to use their own hands to do exactly what kids were doing in 1776. Longevity 38 years. Now they want us to work 42 years, 4 years beyond the original longevity rate of our nation when we build it. Now, 12 to 15-year-olds were carpenters. They would build their own homes. Unless you were an immigrant coming in to a stuck city situation, you basically, if you were a vested citizen, you were considered among the Stewart classes and you had land rights. Okay, if you were a new person coming in, you'd have to get yourself vested in. There was a process for that, by the way. So 12 to 15-year-olds would build carpentry. It's actually very simple to do this. People usually did one a year. A lot of times they'd build one a year. Sometimes after 1, 2, 3 years, they'd burn the house down, recover the nails, build it again. So by age 15, you were going to be getting married, okay? This was 1776. This was part of what we did for our kids, okay? So their future was they already had carpentry. They would be able to build a house over their head with their own hands, just like the Eskimos would do, just like the Greenlanders would do. Of course, everybody's modernized. Well, we've modernized it, so 3 homes minimum a year is no problem. Any illegal alien trying to do pickup work to do construction will tell you that. They'll tell you that they're a good builder and they can build you 3 small homes a year. Okay, so restoring these basic skills basically should have our children going to upwards of $200,000 a year. Now, that's just part of my plan. It's far more comprehensive, but my plan is to have students basically owning about $1.4 million worth of real estate between age 18 and age 20. Okay, but that's a complex, argument to lay out to explain that to you. So these people are throwing peanuts. Okay, they're throwing peanuts. Their analytics are all off. Again, I've designed the best economic models in the history of the world for the past 25 years.
To read phonics. We're going to have that in every school. The most important thing is that you learn to read by the end of 3rd grade. Just as Mississippi has done, we're going to make sure we're going to give you help over the summer if you can't, but if you don't meet the test, you repeat the grade and then you can move forward. And we're going to hold teachers and schools accountable
Mr. Hilton.
for their performance.
Thank you very much. Nikki?
Mr. Steyer, Sophia from Folsom wants to know, what is your stance on remote work? You have 30 seconds.
So remote work is enabling people not to make these huge commutes. And it is a way for us to save money. It is a way to keep people off the roads. So I am a supporter of remote work, period. But let me say this as someone who has run lots of organization and lots of teams. There's reasons to be in the office that involve human interaction, that involve mentoring, that involve the growth of young people. So when you're running an organization, yes, you have to take into account costs, but more than that, you have to account for the human growth of a culture and a team.
Mr. Steyer, thank you. Ms. Porter, Toby from Costa Mesa wants to know, do you agree with schools not notifying parents if their child identifies as a different gender? You have 30 seconds.
It is between a parent and a child when a child chooses to have that conversation. The job of our educators is to teach them to read. By 3rd grade, that is a really important benchmark to help them make the jump from Algebra 1 to Algebra 2, which opens the door to higher paying jobs. These are conversations for kids and parents to have with each other and their healthcare providers. This is not a role for schools to be policing personal decisions.
Ms. Porter, thank you. Mr. Mahan, John Carlo from Los Angeles asks this. How would you communicate with Donald Trump if he attacks you directly or policies valued in California? You have 30 seconds.
Well, just as I've done as mayor of San Jose, when the Trump administration threatens California's people, our funding, our values, I'll fight back. We'll use the courts. In San Jose, we've sued this administration over a dozen times. We've funded legal services for our immigrant neighbors. We have used every tool at our disposal. But I will also find ways to invite federal agencies to help us rebuild LA, reduce fire risk. We need a partnership, and we need to find common ground with this administration on certain issues.
Mr. Mahan, thank you. Frank.
We'd like to move on to our next question. Many Californians cannot get home insurance anymore, or their premiums have skyrocketed. Insurance companies blame wildfire risk and catastrophic losses. Many have left the state. California's FAIR Plan, a last resort option, is being swamped and is becoming a crisis for the state. Mr. Bianco, this round begins with you. What is your plan to attract private insurance companies back to California? You have 60 seconds.
Again, we're going to be honest about the problem. The problem is our California state government, is our California state regulations that are affecting the insurance companies. Various regulations affecting the insurance companies, but particularly, they told us why they were leaving. They told Governor Newsom for 5 years in a row that they were going to leave if he did not change the environmental policies and protections that prevented our fire agencies from creating defensible space around our homes, our cities, and our buildings. They told him.
I'm going to interrupt for a little bit here. I mean, you know, one thing that Chad is actually doing is he's taking it straight up to, by the way, here's some real truth. Here's some real items that have to be addressed. These people are doing this, 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 and they've been told the whole time, you know. So, you know, whether you think he's showing proof or not, I'm not going to discount overall what he's saying. Because I can't, because I've done deep analytics to see it. I've talked with people and businesses personally before taxes went into effect. I've had businesses myself where I was doing nonprofit work, assisting people to locate products. This is internet assistive work, okay? So when California says they're going to put in the 10% tax, and you're looking at basically being mass repetitive business, you're looking at a leeway of 7 or 8% that you have to work with to begin with. You're trying to keep your prices low. You're trying to be able to make a cut. They put 10% into it. What happens is if you raise your price 10%, the other people in other locations can undercut you by 2, 3, 4%. That just blew you out of the market. That just completely ended your business. So when you go in and you show your books to the state of California and you say, look, you can't do this or you're just going to end this. And they just bowed their neck and did it anyhow. And in 90 days, 60,000 jobs were lost in California. And people either went out of business or they left the state. Many of them left the state. With me, I do a lot of different types of gig work. I just had to shut down certain areas that were intermittent, more like gig work, intermittent type of work with the nonprofit. I had to shut them down because they just completely got destroyed by the state of California. So I couldn't assist people in finding stuff. And a lot of it had to do with the acquisitions that were desired by the nonprofit because of the archiving, the demand for computers, chips, specialized parts, scientific equipment, etc. And then I try to work other people in that were interested in certain products. So we try to pool together and get better discount stuff going. And again, this was for the archive to get custom equipment, manage evidence, work with evidence, do certain types of quantification, all kinds of stuff like that. But, I just thought he's hitting something strong, and you barely have any of the other candidates actually hitting and admitting. There's, there's something wrong with the state. We got to fix it. That's a clown running around throwing peanuts out. And that's what we've been seeing for decades. Clowns running around throwing peanuts out. That ain't going to cut it. That ain't going to cut it. So, my economic plan is restore vested citizens. We have a land company. We've been cheated out of our land rights. I found the evidence. It's in the archive that we were cheated, that they didn't issue us our land stock rights in the land company. That's some deep arguments. I'll get to that later, but I just thought I would mention, because I'm not, I'm going to be truthful if I see somebody saying something that's truthful to a certain extent, that it needs to be addressed, because he's hitting this stronger than almost anybody. And I know he has seen, you can't be a sheriff and not watch year after, 30 years as sheriff, you can't be in law enforcement and not see people's lives disintegrating, not hear what people are saying about what's going on in their life. You're hearing testimony all day long, every day. For a short period of time, I was in law enforcement. Yes, I had friends that were in law enforcement. But, a lot of people thought I was really cool. I'm kind of cool, too. I think a lot of the laws we have are really dumb in this state. They make no sense at all. They violate our civil rights. They violate the Constitution. But I'm going to stand up and at least admit something at this level. So I stopped it for a moment because I have to at least partially agree. There's a lot of things he's talking about I've been talking about deeply, deeply for more than 25 years.
They were going to lose cities and they couldn't afford to cover it, so they were going to have to leave. So the answer is remove the regulations, let the fire agencies create that defensible space. We are being absolutely controlled by environmental activism in this state that runs every single regulatory board. And as governor, I will remove that special interest from California state government.
Mr. Bianco, thank you for that. Mr. Hilton, what is your plan to attract private insurance companies back to California? You have 60 seconds.
We have to be clear about why they left. They left because of Democrat policies and wrong-headed regulation. Now, some of those mistakes have been corrected. The ability for insurance companies to price in future risk, the ability of insurance companies to account for reinsurance costs. But we still have wrong regulation. And this is the three-point plan that I've announced to fix this absolutely massive problem that is crushing so many families across California. Number one, we've got to get people off the FAIR plan. It was designed for about 100,000 people. Now you've got over 600,000. We've got to work proactively to get those people onto commercial insurance. Number two, we have to stick to the regulatory framework that was in the original proposition that set up the insurance department. 60 days to approve rate changes. Sometimes now it's over a year. And number three, we have to stop these nuisance lawsuits, often filed by private equity from out of state, that are increasing the cost of insurance.
All right, Mr. Hilton, thank you. Mr. Steyer, what is your plan to attract private insurance companies back to California? You have 60 seconds.
Well, skyrocketing home insurance is one of the huge problems facing California homeowners. And it's a result of catastrophic fires and houses being burnt down, and therefore insurance companies wanting to get paid for that risk. What California needs to do is reduce that risk. We need to reduce the risk of catastrophic fire. What does that look like? On a macro basis, it looks like controlled burns, reducing dry timber. On a micro basis, it means hardening houses, keeping vegetation 5 feet away, and other things. We can reduce the risk of houses burning in catastrophic fire by 90%. The point is going to be, at that point, we need the insurance companies to start writing home insurance based on the reduced risk. And it's the job of the governor to insist that they take into account the reduced risk. Insurance companies are lazy. They like to drive by a house and make a decision. When we're hardening houses and reducing risk by 90%, the governor's job is to make sure that they do the work, that they take it into account, and that housing insurance goes way down.
Mr. Steyer, thank you. Nikki?
Ms. Porter, what is your plan to attract private insurance companies back to California? You have 60 seconds.
First, I just want to acknowledge that so many who have been affected by wildfires have not received the federal aid that California deserves from the federal government because of Donald Trump. I also want to say, as a consumer protection advocate, I would absolutely hold insurers' feet to the fire to make sure they pay out damages when homes have been burned. I think the solution is to have more insurance companies and more competition, but they're going to do that when we have reduced wildfire risk. We cannot afford to not act to reduce.
Now, I'm going to stop here for a minute because people are talking about multiple insurance company deals. You know, Palisades, all these different fires, this is ridiculous. Now, last time when I was running for office, I had the commemorative silver coin plan. I already talked about that would be in place to also assist and guarantee, to bring in guarantor insurance monies to guarantee to get people's loans quickly, which means all of this stuff would have already been getting done. And we have a lot of people still talking about it. I was somebody who laid out the big plan to deal with it back during the last time Gavin was running for governor, you know, but then I come under attack. There's all these illegal things that happen. They're supposed to be disqualified according to the articles. I'm right on top of all of this. And I have to deal with heat going back prior to the year 2000 because I wrote stuff. And I called people up, I talked to people and says, hey, you can't do this, or this is going to happen and this is going to happen. They don't like me. They don't like me because exactly what I said was going to happen is what ends up happening. So I was on top of all of this from before most of these people's homes even got burned down. I'll just have you see that. Now, on some of this other insurance, we have mass corruption, long-term mass corruption. I studied in the archive. In there, I dealt with lots of complaints from people. There was lots of legal research done, a lot of legal research, a lot of evidence that actually is belonging to multiple parties in the archive that came under attack. Now, the thing is, we had a lot of corruption. We had people do mandatory automotive insurance because they wanted to scam everybody instead of realizing we needed a universal system that made sense. The system I came up with says, I don't care what country you come from. I don't care how you get a hold of a vehicle, okay? It's plain, it's simple. It was 8 cents a gallon on fuel way back. This was before 2000. You know, when I was running for city council, way back in Los Angeles, okay, I was proposing 8 cents a gallon because I didn't care. I didn't want to hear anybody I would not allow for anyone to have an excuse and say, oh, well, we just came visiting and we rented this car or leased this car and it turns out the paperwork ain't straight or the insurance ain't straight. I didn't want to hear that. I didn't care what your origin was or how it is that you got in a vehicle. I wanted guaranteed insurance for everybody. If you need it, we all need it. Right. Okay. Let's make it simple. Okay. We'd have a minimum $60,000 insurance. It was 8 cents a gallon. Okay. Now, would you want more insurance? Of course you would. If you're a homeowner, of course you'd want more insurance. But that keeps everyone competitive. But we would never have a situation involving anybody who would not be covered by some kind of minimal policy, no matter where they came from. But nobody wanted to listen to me. Okay, in fact, I came under a lot of heat for it. I was threatened. I was threatened by people with badges on their chest. You can't run for council, boy. Amazing to find this kind of stuff happening in Los Angeles. I'm telling you. So the policies I would have laid out would have basically eliminated many of the laws that they invented. There would have been no laws for mandatory insurance. There wouldn't have been no laws for any of this stuff on vehicles. You know, I have all kinds of evidence that people conspire to do things and they took bribes. They took bribes. They didn't do things efficient. I quantitized. I looked at everything. Well, let's do this efficiently. Let's do this as real capitalists. No, they didn't want to listen. They wanted to destabilize people's lives. And that's something that comes from a bunch of communism and socialism and screwballism to destabilize our power as citizens. So I was going to address the insurance situation very deeply, very efficiently, add a whole lot of automatic pull systems for those who wanted to work. It would reduce the overall cost and the need for locations, on expensive real estate. It would have reduced the cost for advertisements. The cost of the business would have been lower. The paperwork would have been simpler. I had paperwork simplification, all kinds of stuff. Okay, let's get back to this.
Reduce wildfire risk. We all lose. Families who lose their homes more than others when we face these kinds of catastrophic wildfires. So fighting climate change and fighting wildfire risk is ultimately how you reduce the number of people who are forced onto a fair plan that is unstable and not financially sustainable for taxpayers.
Ms. Porter, thank you. Mr. Mahan, same question to you. What is your plan to attract private insurance companies back to California? You have 60 seconds.
Well, Nikki, I've walked through the Palisades and Altadena with families who have lost everything, and I've seen firsthand what's broken. As governor, I will take responsibility for ensuring that we better manage our public lands. We have to reduce the fire risk at the edge of our urban areas so we're not putting homeowners at risk. And when you have those catastrophic fires, it pushes up costs for everyone. We need to bring the private insurance market back, force them to compete with one another on value, allow them to appropriately price risk. And when they play games, as we've heard in some cases, switching adjusters and dragging out the process of paying out claims, they must be held accountable by the state, and I'll make sure we do that.
Mr. Mahan, thank you. Mr. Becerra, what is your plan to attract private insurance companies back to the state of California?
I got to stop it there for a minute because, see, he says something about things. Now, the thing is when you're talking about the remote management, I mentioned that a little bit already, but you have to get stewards back out into the area, which means you have to give people to stop stealing people's land rights. That's a big problem in this state. They're telling people that own land that they can't live on their own land, that you don't have a year to build or anything. All of that regulation is meaningless and ridiculous. It's all about stealing your land rights. We have a huge land company. Remember, the government has no right to own the property. The government has no right to be your king or your dictator. We are a republic. That means that we have a huge land company and we all own stock. And they lie to you. They lie to you. They don't teach your kids this in school. They lie to you day in and day out as we're surrounded by mass wealth, and they've cheated you. They've cheated you out of your land stock. If your lineage goes back 150 years, you have more than $80 million in land stock rights in a land company. And we had more land that came in World War II era. So if you have 75 years about basically of citizenship being verified, you're vested in Group 2, and you're entitled to $10 million worth of land stock. Okay, that equates out to 275 million people if we do it nationwide, basically. But California is definitely still in this category, and they lie to you. They lie to you about the legal documents. They attack archives. They attack archivers. that have legal evidence. They destroy original documents. They destroy original documents. They destroy artifacts. These people refuse to protect archives and museums. These people in government, it's very, very deep to show you what they did. Okay, I'm going to jump back onto this because I had to address that.
California, you have 60 seconds.
I won't be as lenient as some of the responses you've heard. I believe that it's time that we get behind the curtain and find out how these insurance companies are operating, because there are still people in Altadena and Pacific Palisades who have not been paid on their claims from back in January 2025. That is ridiculous. Every month they paid their premiums. Some people had never filed a claim, yet when they finally filed this claim for these wildfires, they still can't get an answer to the question, how much they get and when they'll get it. That is not right. We should hold their feet to the fire. I'll make sure that we take on all the issues of wildfire mitigation. Sure, you have to harden your home. We have to make sure we don't have developers building in high-risk areas. We'll do all those things. But first and foremost, insurers owe those consumers, those people who paid their premiums, responses. They paid their premiums. They are owed a response on their claims. It's ridiculous that people have had to wait more than a year. That is not the way you treat a customer.
Mr. Becerra, thank you. Frank.
We're going to move on to our next topic, and that is social media and our children. A California jury found Meta and Google negligent, ordering them to pay damages for designing addictive social media that contributed to mental health issues. Would you support a law that bans social media usage for kids under 16 years of age? This is going to go to each one of you. Mr. Hilton, you will go first. You have 30 seconds.
So as the father of 2 teenage children, I know this issue very well. But actually, it's an issue that I've been thinking about and advocating on for many, many years. 11 years ago, in my book, More Human, 2015, that was published, I made the argument that it's not just the apps, it's not just the platforms, it's the screens themselves, and that we should set a social norm that children under 16 should not have a smartphone. That is my position now. I think that every parent in their heart knows that it's wrong. Kids do not need smartphones, and we shouldn't allow it.
So just to clarify, though, on the social media side, yes or no, banning it for kids under 16?
I think it misses the point, honestly. I think that we've got to get to the heart of the problem, and that's the devices and the screens.
All right, Mr. Hilton, thank you. Mr. Steyer, would you support a law that bans social media usage for kids under 16 years of age? You have 30 seconds.
Yes, I would. I've said that publicly. I think it's been clear for a long time that young people have significant mental health issues as a result of social media. And we have counted on the companies to police themselves, and that has definitely failed. And let me say that as AI is here, artificial intelligence, that is something else which very much threatens the safety and health of our children. And that is something which absolutely threatens them. And young people are addicted to their artificial intelligent friends more than their real friends. And so we are going to have to regulate these companies and have the courage to do it.
Mr. Steyer, thank you. Ms. Porter, would you support a law that bans social media usage for kids under 16? You have 30 seconds.
Yeah, as a mom of 3 teenagers, I will say that every kid is different. I definitely have a kid, I won't name him here, who's doing a good job with moderating social media, using it occasionally and in ways that have been helpful. I have another kid who's constantly told to put her device down, and when needed, I take it away. I do think we need to hold companies accountable when their products produce harm. If they're producing addiction, if they're failing to moderate inappropriate conduct, then we absolutely should hold them accountable. But those problems affect both kids particularly, but also adults.
And just to clarify, and forgive me if I missed it, but hold accountable or ban the usage for kids under 16?
I would not ban under 16. I might consider a different ban, but I also want to recognize that as a parent, it's an opportunity for families to make choices and have conversations about technology that these kids will see their whole lives.
Ms. Porter, thank you. Mr. Mahan, would you support a law that bans social media usage for kids under 16 years of age? You have 30 seconds.
What I would do is require parental consent for children under 16 to be able to use social media. I would also ban cell phone use during the academic day in public schools all the way through high school. I think it's destructive to give kids products that their brains aren't fully developed and able to use safely. And so I would put those restrictions in place. I think parents should have ultimate control in this situation. My wife and I are raising two little kids. They're 8 and 6 years old. We limit screen time.
Mr. Mahan, same clarification. You say require parental consent. Are you yes or no on banning it under the age of 16?
The reason I would require parental consent under 16 is that there are lots of educational tools that may have social components that might connect students. There could be applications that make sense, but parents should have control over those decisions.
Mr. Mahan, thank you. Mr. Becerra, would you support a law that bans social media usage for kids under 16? 30 seconds.
Addiction is dangerous. Yes, I would absolutely work with legislators to make sure we can enact such a law. Kids have died as a result of their use of social media. Kids are going into this spiral downhill where they're not doing anything but playing with their phone. It is time for us to act. And I will tell you, as a former Attorney General, I will enforce that law to make sure we are able to manage our children's development over the lifespan. And what I will tell you is this: we also have to help those families that are trying to manage their kids' use of these types of devices.
Mr. Becerra, thank you. Mr. Bianco, would you support a law that bans social media usage for kids under 16? You have 30 seconds.
No, that's up to their parents. I think it's interesting that drugs create mental illness too, and yet California Democrats have made drugs legal in California, but now we're going to ban social media because it creates a mental health issue for kids under 16. We know it creates mental health issues for adults. Social media is not a good thing for us to be spending 12 hours a day on, but it is up to parents what they want to do with their kids. It's not up to the government to tell them what their kids are going to do. And I agree, there are far too many educational benefits to these platforms than there are dangers, but it's up to parents.
All right. Mr. Bianco, thank you. Nikki?
Time's winding down, so as we like to say in TV, we're going to switch gears and ask a bit of a lighter question so people watching can get to know you on more of a personal level. Keep your answers a bit short here, but since we're on the streaming platform now, we want to know, what was the last streaming show that you watched? Mr. Steyer, we'll start with you.
I think the last streaming show I saw was probably Marshall's.
Marshall, streaming show,
was-
Marshall.
Yep.
Ms. Porter, last.
Okay, I got to interject here because, first of all, there's a whole lot of material to go in here. Now, first of all, none of these Democrats have said anything about certain facts. The closest one that came to an educated response, a true one, is actually Chad, believe it or not. But, this is one of my areas, folks, okay? I've got dozens of hours of material talking about this because I am an expert, and this is one of the fields I'm an expert. Now, first of all, we have a serious problem. We have people who are trying to pass phony legislation. They're saying we want to have backdoor access to all biochips and do age verification. What they're saying on one series of the claim is, oh, we're trying to protect children, but the implementation physics involving this is completely different. So we have IBM, we have all these companies that are saying, look, you can't do it that way. By the way, the state has no right to control access to all BIOS chips on all motherboards, on all devices, which is what the state is trying to claim. The problem is that once you have control of the backdoor BIOS devices, you can control anything that's a computer, every type of device, period. And they want global control over everything. This is the way it works. Now, the long-term understanding is we have foreign instruments that have been influencing policies to tell people, we'll give you money for your campaigns if you do this type of policy. So we have foreign instruments trying to press a policy that is going to give one person in the state of California the ability to take control over every device made. Now, they'll talk about the cutoff date, but that's a stroke of a pen to change the date. Here's the problem. You cannot allow one person to have control over the BIOS chips of every device. Okay, this is why IBM is flipping out, because all of the electronic motherboards in any device, whether it's a missile, even atomic weapons, okay, atomic weapons, ICBMs, all of this, we've already had a backdoor problem. Now, I can't talk explicitly in depth about the entire thing, but when you make chips during the Reagan administration, they decided to have certain backdoors built into chip technology. This means you can use a remote radio device to access the BIOS chips and other chips on devices. Okay, you probably heard about the Israelis blowing up cell phones remotely. Of course, a lot of that had to do with basically them arranging to sell the devices. Why? Because they wanted to pack the batteries with a whole bunch of like C4, C6 explosive. Okay, so by the way, lithium batteries are also like explosive. If your phone's getting so hot that you can cook an egg on it, you're under attack, and somebody might be doing what's known as a battery prep, which converts your battery into a situation to make it explode. Okay, to make it explode. So this is something that terrorists got a hold of already, and there's all of these other different device problems. When we had a war in the Mideast, the Iranians, in conjunction with the Russians, got a hold of technology to get into the back door on chips. So you had to have a different chip design change out, because what ended up happening was they started causing missiles to abort. They started having these guys running around with little boxes, and they'd press a button and missiles wouldn't hit their targets properly. You had to have guys flying real low and do point blank shooting. Okay, it's way worse than that. Okay, but I can't talk about all of that this way on something I'm going to put out publicly. But in effect, we have California demanding to take control of federal weapons, and the state has no right to take control of federal managed weapons. It's beyond their power and authority, and we have other problems. We also have parties that we've caught respective to communications that wanted to negotiate alternate deals with foreign powers. So when you have people, and we have letters intercepted that indicate that parties are booking things like, we'll do a separate deal with you, we'll give you money, and these people are lying about what they're trying to do. Under no circumstances can you allow people to do administration of a law to get mandatory control into every device, because that ends up being in a room with one person who changes one piece of the programming and all of a sudden sends an update that you can't stop to everybody's device, and everybody loses control of their device with the mandatory update. Okay? You can't do that because one person will get a hold of it. That violates the chain of operations respective to the necessary strategies. This is why you have IBM and all these other companies that are saying, no, this is crazy. What you guys have no idea what you're doing. What you're proposing isn't even compatible, which is also true. So we have a whole bunch of people trying to legislate stuff that don't know what they're talking about, okay? First of all, they don't know what they're talking about. And if they do know what they're talking about, then they might be in bed accepting money from foreign instruments. And then there's a question of their loyalty, which means they're in bed aiding and abetting foreign instruments, and that's treason. That's actionable. Okay, so it's important for you voters to understand what I'm telling you, because when they say one thing on a bill in one place and you got other areas on the bill, they do something else. And I think many of you probably notice that you've seen this kind of stuff. They say one thing and all of a sudden they got something else slipped in. Well, there's also a difference between legislating and the way it has to work technologically. Okay, and the thing is, a lot of these people They don't know what they're talking about respective to AI. You could have good technicians bullshit them all day long, okay? And they would never figure it out. They wouldn't have a chance of understanding it. So I'm telling you, because it's important to understand these factors, crucially important as to who you're voting for, because your future is connected to this. And, you know, we don't have people that are on board to understand at the level of what's going on. This is another reason why I'm the best choice for governor. You know, I'm an omnibus. I have far more diversity and understanding in these areas than a lot of other people. I've spent too many decades as an archiver and in my labs doing independent scientific research, which was really good. Now, if I'm going to tell you something really good, my analytic research is really good, okay? Because I gave out predictions, I delivered information to the federal government and to Boeing Aircraft that says, look, here it is. You're going to have what's known as a 555 situation surrounding Boeing Aircraft. So the terrorists are planning on using 4 to 7 aircraft in an attack coming up in the United States, and I would consider it a 97% likelihood. So I'm on that short list of people who actually predicted 9/11. On 9/11, I'm on the phone, okay, with the Pentagon. I have to remember this for the rest of my life. I have to remember people who were screaming that I was talking to as they did their job to the end, yelling and indicating that there was an aircraft coming into the side of their building as they were looking out the window, seeing it come right in and kill them, and the line goes dead. I have to deal with remembering that. The other thing is, I had to end up on 9/11. I'm on the phone with the United States Secret Service explaining to them that there's another part about the scenario, which says you have a minimum of 2 Stinger missile teams with Stinger missiles that are going to lay in wait and fire at the president's aircraft. And that if what we're seeing is happening, then there is a 90+% chance that additional breaches occurred. They could have been the Russians. You must change your plan with a brand new plan that nobody knows about to protect the president and his aircraft. Because right now, I'm telling you, more than likely, there's a 95% chance that there's 2 teams out there with Stinger missiles that are planning to lay in wait and down the president's aircraft. And you must immediately address this. So I don't call up the White House very often or Secret Service and lay stuff out like that unless I'm really certain about it. Reality is they busted both teams. They caught both teams. They got one of the Stinger missiles. The other team said they ditched the Stinger missile. Now they confess they ended up in Guantanamo. Welcome to reality. My analytics are really, really good. So when people steal my research, it's classified, very classified. Now, I thought I'd mention that. Now, so we have a situation where we have a bunch of people running for office here, and a whole bunch of them are not addressing the truth. We don't have any of these Democrats addressing the truth about the systems that are running, that are blacklisting you, your business, your life. They have no plans whatsoever to stop attacking your life. Okay? And about your kids, they have no idea what they're talking about with these devices as to what needs to be done, how to properly do it. And most of it has to do with, and I'm going to tell you, with Chad's point of view. There's a lot of good stuff out there. It's about the parents making the decisions about whether or not to have your kid having a device, where and when, okay? As far as some of this other stuff, you don't just legislate it and say it's done, fix it. It doesn't work that way. You have to bring in experts. You have to evaluate it. It's complicated. There's a lot of quantification. There's a lot of physics involved. And I'm just going to tell you that 90% of these candidates don't know what they're talking about. The same thing with the legislators up there in California. They don't know what they're talking about, okay? These people are dangerous. They're very dangerous. And you have to have a person like me as governor who's going to demand certain things to happen the right way, or it ain't going to happen the right way, because I'm going to bring in the certain custom experts that are necessary to look at these situations and see what can be done. Because right now we have too many breaches, we have too many foreign instruments, we have too much foreign money, we have too many people where we have reason to believe that they're in bed with the enemy. I'm not kidding about this. You know, it's a very serious situation. So there's some additional information here respective to a lot of other stuff. Again, I've got dozens and dozens of hours to explain things about stuff in this area. A lot of expertise. I probably have closer to, I don't know, over 200 hours of specific to electronics, specific to quantification and different stuff, as well as the understanding of my commitment to bring in the right experts and get the tools in your hands you need to fix your life. Getting max quantification to get you back to max production. You know, and it's extensive. I would, you know, God, gee, I want to talk about it more, but we need to get this towards the end and finish this up.
Streaming show that you watched.
I took a lot of heat from my kids for this, but I was watching Heated Rivalry.
Okay. Ms. Porter, thank you. Mr. Mahan, last streaming show that you watched.
It's the one with Kerry Russell. I think it's called The Diplomat or
Diplomat.
something. The Diplomat. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Mr. Mahan, thank you. Mr. Becerra, last streaming show that you watched.
I wish I could tell you that I have time to watch streaming shows. I can't tell you that I'm much of a TV watcher.
All right, Mr. Becerra, thank you. Mr. Bianco, last streaming show that you watched.
I don't stream and I don't watch TV.
Okay, Mr. Bianco, thank you. Mr. Hilton, last streaming show that you watched.
We're in the middle of it right now, Reacher. One of my sons really enjoys that, probably more than the rest of us in the family. But it's been good fun to watch together.
Mr. Hilton, thank you.
Thanks to all of you. Thanks to our candidates for being here this evening. And we want to say that, oh, I'm sorry, did we not
Yes.
ask someone?
Yes. No,
Okay, we're ready
everybody
to go.
got their answer
I
in.
thought we missed someone. We want to make sure we know what you're streaming. That wraps up our debate for tonight. We want to invite you to stay tuned for the spin room that's happening right here in the studio live after the break. So stay tuned for that.
And we want to remind everyone at home, ballots for the California primary election, they start going out very soon on May 4th. And of course, Election Day is on June 2nd. We thank you for watching.